to you, and glad to see you still hoping for the Lord. Take your Bibles and let's see here where I want to go today. Let's do the Gospel according to Matthew. And I need to turn this on. Power. How's that? Am I good? I've never seen one like this before. Am I okay? Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll make sure of that. Again, my name is Tim Lapish with the Fellowship Track League. I've been with them 5 or 6 years now. I live in Columbus, Ohio. O-H-I-O. I need to be careful. I was down in South Point, Ohio, and I was in a church in a little kind of township community there. And I did the same thing, and they all booed at me. They all crossed the river. They were all Marshall fans in West Virginia. So it was all in jest in that. But usually I'm pretty safe in Ohio. I have been to that state up north. I think they call it a country, third world country, something like that. Anybody from Michigan here? My dad was born in Sioux St. Marie, Michigan. Anyway, I'm up there, and I do the same thing. And people boo, but there's a lot of Buckeyes up in Michigan. They just stand up and cheer me on, say, Bill Lapish, you just give it to this church. And so what that means, I better be careful what I say there. When I stepped down from the church that I pastored in Columbus Central Baptist Church, we had a young man, a younger man and his wife. They were in their mid to late 20s, and they came in from Michigan. And, of course, our church is like a stone's throw from the university. And I actually went there and graduated in 1974, so I'm obviously well invested in that university and Ohio State. But I said there's only one thing wrong with this man and his wife. I says they are from Michigan. And the people just laughed, you know, and so he came up, he defended Michigan, and he put down the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I says, oh my goodness. He has laid not one egg, he's laid dozens of eggs. And I could hear the people thinking, why don't you go back to Michigan if you love it? Well, obviously he didn't get a call from the church to be their next pastor. And I kind of felt like maybe I caused that by introducing him that way. But on the other hand, I thought, well, maybe the Lord just needed to show him where he needed to be. And by me saying that, he kind of got the idea. Anyway, it's good to be here. I travel for the track league. I started out kind of slow. I take a meeting here and a meeting there. And then it got to be, maybe 2 or 3 meetings a month. Then it got to be a lot of Sunday mornings. And then they wanted me to come on a Sunday night. So I said, well, I'd try that. I thought I'd give it a year because I thought I would be pastoring again. And I just have a heart as a shepherd for the flock. But God hasn't seen it that way. And all of a sudden, 1 year's turned into about 5, 6 years now traveling for them. And I've been to a lot of places. And Pastor Kogel, now for over 220 straight Sundays, I've been in churches for the track league.
Amen.
That's a lot of phone calls. And when I say Sundays, that's Sunday morning and Sunday night. Now, it's getting harder to get Sunday night services because a lot of churches are just doing Wednesday and then Sunday morning. So obviously, they don't have a Sunday night. I have to X them off the list as far as a potential Sunday night. But I have found out I really like what I do. I don't like the traveling part. I hate to travel. So someone says, well, why in the world are you traveling for the track league then? And I say, well, because the Lord wants me to. You see, we always don't get to do what we want to do in the ministry. Last time I checked, it wasn't he's the servant and I'm the master. The roles, no, I'm the servant and he's the master. Amen. And he sends me where he wants me to go. I have met wonderful Christian people everywhere I've gone. I've met wonderful pastor friends who we call and are friends today yet. And I found out that God is doing a lot of great work in his churches around the country. Now, normally I like to stay in Ohio, but sometimes I'm pushed into Indiana and up into Michigan and into Kentucky and into that country called West Virginia. My wife's in West Virginia, so I can make fun of that. Into Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a rough state to travel in. Oh, my goodness. And then I found out that a lot of pastors in Pennsylvania and in Michigan wanted me to come in December and January. So I thought, great, someone wants me to come. Hey, if somebody wants you to come, I mean, that's pretty good. So when I would get there, though, the pastor wouldn't be there. Where would he be? In Florida, vacationing during December and January. And on the way home, I am white-knuckling the steering wheel. This is not a good idea. So I've tried the last couple of years to schedule all my meetings I try to do within an hour of Columbus. So if something does happen with ice or rain or snow or sleet or all that stuff, roads are closed down, if I get stuck, I'm about an hour from home versus being up in northern Michigan or up in Erie, Pennsylvania, which probably has more snow than anywhere in the world, it seems. So thank you, Pastor, again. And I have 9 Sundays in December and January I fret. And this is Sunday, the first Sunday of the 9 Sundays I can check off because it's such a beautiful day. Amen. And it being the 60s today, that makes it easy on a person like myself to travel. Now, traveling is not the easiest thing to do. Typically, every Sunday morning, I'm up about 4 a.m. getting prepared to get on the road and then travel to the morning service like I have here. Sunday night, sometimes services don't start till 7:30. There are still churches don't start their evening service till 7:30. That makes for a long drive back. Yeah. But I figured that out. Sunday morning, usually you're awake and you're anxious about the first service. The Sunday night one, you're exhilarated. Everything's done, and now you're headed home. And what I've learned to do is divide my trip from my evening service to Columbus. I divide that in half, and I find a Wendy's, and I get the largest hunkin' chocolate frosty they make. Now I look forward to that. Amen. And then I eat it slowly on the way home. And by the time I'm done, I'm in Columbus again, and I'm safe and sound. The thing that's the hardest about traveling, though, is that Sunday afternoon. The sun's beating down. You may have an hour or two to travel to the next church. Your head starts to nod like, and I got to pull over. That's a tough cookie. I still haven't figured out Sunday afternoon. And if you're waiting for the next service, like if I'm in southern Ohio or down in Kentucky, and the service doesn't start till, say, 7, what do I do all Sunday afternoon? Well, at first I would just sit in my car at a Walmart parking lot. Anybody think that sounds like fun? No. You say, well, why don't you walk through it? Well, all Walmarts are the same. I know what's in every aisle and every shelf of every Walmart. That's no longer fun. So, but that was really hard on me. If you know people who travel like I do, Sunday afternoons are really a killer. So what I ended up doing, I joined the Holiday Inn Club. I went online and joined it. It's free to join. I carry the card in my wallet. And now Sunday afternoon, I will find a Holiday Inn Express between here and Middletown. Remember where Brother Brazelton was? Jesse Combs is there now. That's where I'm headed for tonight. I'll find a Holiday Inn Express, and I show them my card, and I give them my missionary card, and they give me the run of the lobby. There's no one there. And they're all brand new, so they have brand new couches. I just kick off my shoes and lay back. I kind of take over. I set up everything for myself. And they have a business center if I need to use a computer and type up some memos or that. And then being born in the holy city. Now, your pastor was talking about this as a holy area. I was actually born in the holy city of Ohio. Anybody know what the holy city is? Cleveland! Love for Cleveland? Thank you, Lillian. Yes, I knew I get one hand up there. And so I am a Browns fan. So last fall, I was in a lot of Northern Ohio churches, and I predicted every Sunday the Browns would win. I said, take it to the bank! And I was perfectly wrong. I was 0-16 last year. But this year we're doing a little bit better. So I'll do something like that. That has made my Sunday afternoons a lot better. There's coffee or water there. Anything left over for breakfast, they say, missionary, help yourself. And so that has made it easy. And ladies, their bathrooms are brand new. You would die to have those bathrooms. They are so great. So if I have to brush my teeth or floss or whatever, it's everything's just perfectly clean and new. So that's how I spend my Sunday afternoons, and I figured that out. So the Lord has helped me as I kind of learned the ropes to it. But here in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19, Jesus says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon what? Earth. Now, if you read this for the first time, probably a question mark would flash in your mind. Why? Why, Lord? Well, here he tells where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. You know, everything you have wears out. It's rare that I still see cars from last century on the road. Now, those Dodge minivans, those old Plymouth Voyagers, I still see those. Those things just keep on trucking. Those things run forever. And it seems I see those, but, you know, most people have cars from this century now. Why? Because the other ones have done what? Rusted out. And one of the hardest jobs we had when I was pastoring was maintaining, upgrading, keeping everything new and modern the best we could. Everything wears out. Your clothes wear out. I won't ask you who's still wearing stuff from last century, because I'll get hands for sure. Because if you're a little bit older, you know, I think their sport coat may go into the 90s. I don't know. I've had it in my closet forever. But it still fits and it's warm, although I don't need it today. So the Lord is just giving you some practical advice. Don't lay up yourselves treasures on earth. It's going to wear out, rust out, or somebody's going to steal it. Yeah. I bank with one of the largest banks in the country, if not the world. And they have been charged with fraudulent loans. A lot of banks have made bad loans to try to strike it rich, and other banks have been fined by the government hundreds of millions of dollars, and I have some money in that bank. And I'm wondering if it's really safe. Wendy's, I mentioned, they were hacked about a year ago. So if you swipe your little debit card there through Wendy's, somebody's got your information. Just about everything's been hacked, hasn't it? So where's your money safe? I think where your money's safe where it used to be a couple centuries ago, under the mattress with a loaded shotgun next to it, or buried in the backyard, you know, somewhere. That's about the safest you're going to do. So if you're counting on your money in your accounts, hey, anything can happen to it. I mean, that can be wiped off. I mean, if the internet goes down and the grid goes down and everything's wiped clean, how can you prove you still have that money? I don't know. Well, Verse 20, but lay up for yourselves treasures where? Earth. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. You see, the wonderful contrast that the Lord is giving to be earthly minded versus being heavenly minded. He says, don't lay up for yourselves treasures in earth. So many bad things can happen. But rather lay up treasures in heaven, verse 20, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. If you are a locksmith, you will be out of a job in heaven. Why would we need your services in heaven? Right. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. You notice it doesn't say where your heart is, there will your treasure be also. No, it seems from the Lord here that our hearts follow our treasures, the way it works. So, a lot of people's treasures is their money. And so their heart follows their money. Wherever the money goes, their heart's following it, because that's their treasure. And the Lord says we shouldn't be doing that. Our hearts ought to follow our treasures, which should be in heaven. We are to be heavenly minded. We ought to have our affections on things above. Affections means our love. Are you in love with heavenly ideas, heavenly thoughts, heavenly attributes? That's what we should be doing. And so I say that to say this. I'm in a lot of churches, obviously, 220 straight Sundays, not counting a couple of years before that in all the churches I was in. And it seems a lot of people have wonderful retirements. And they have good jobs. I mean, God has blessed His children. They've tithed. They've given to missions. They've invested their money wisely. And God has blown on that. And they've got a lot. And they're sitting on piles of money. And they got it stashed everywhere. And I always ask every church I go to for a Christmas present, especially here in December, if the church would buy the tract league a roll of paper for $250. What a nice Christmas present that would be for the tract league. They're talking about that paper pastor is going to go up to about $280 a roll. You say, well, what's the big hairy deal? Only a $30 increase. When you go through 1,000 or 2,000 rolls of paper a year, that's a lot of money. Yes. That's going to be jacked up, and they just don't have it. Now, I have never been to one of these shows in Columbus at the big arenas, the monster truck shows. I really would like to see those. I would like to drive a monster truck. I think if I had it my way and the Lord didn't call me to preach, I would be in the demolition service. I just like destroying things, tearing things down. I would like to, you ever see they blow up a building in a downtown area? It just falls straight down. Wouldn't that be cool to do? I thought, boy, give me a dump truck, and if you want a building down, I'll just drive through it. You know, I'll put that thing in full gear. I just like demolishing things. I'd like to drive one of those monster trucks, and they run over cars and just crush them. I think that would be so cool. Why am I saying that? The Fellowship Tract League ministry is the monster truck of all tract printing ministries in the world. It is so humongous. It is so huge, as our president says that word all the time. It is bigger than any printing ministry since the beginning of the printing press. Who developed that printing press? Gutenberg, I believe. Hundreds of years ago. Yeah. No ministry has ever printed more tracts than the Fellowship Tract League. And folks, it's what, a half hour, 45 minutes from here, something like that?
1 hour.
1 hour, okay. Thank you. You got it down pat. Thank you. Now I know. And it is so close. And we're happy for everybody else who prints. We're not in competition with anybody else. We're not against anybody else who prints. In fact, if your church decided to start a tract printing ministry, I think the Tract League would send you a check to help you get started. Because there's more people that need to be reached with gospel tracts. Yes. But it is on the top of the heap, top of the hill. It is the mountain compared to all the little valleys, compared to everybody else. If you added up everything everybody else has printed, it doesn't come close. I say as our Gideon friends are to Bibles. And they were established in 1899. Last time I checked, it was 1.8 billion Bibles. They have given away free of charge all over the world. I got one when I was a student at Ohio State University in the 1970s. Someone gave me a gospel, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs. It was a brown cover then. And that was when I was at Ohio State. And then when I was pastoring in downtown Columbus at Central Baptist Church, we were out downtown handing out tracts, Pastor. And another Gideon walked out and gave me a green-covered one, and I still have that one with me. I think that dated back to 1985. But as they are to Bibles, the Fellowship Tract League is to tracts. Yes. And we have now printed over 4.8 billion gospel tracts and have given them away free of charge all over the world, including paying all the shipping. Last year's shipping costs alone were well in excess of $100,000 just to pay the shipping. Now, they do about 700 orders a week. Pastor, could you make 700 hospital calls in a week? No. You'd be lucky to get 2 or 3 a day, especially if somebody really needs you to stay there and be with them. You'd be hard-pressed to do that in a month. They get that many done in the week, and after the 700 orders, they ship out all the overflow orders to 17 or 18 other mail center churches. These are churches that have signed up to get out the rest of the orders that the Tract League can't fill, and they guarantee anywhere between $200 a month postage up to $400 a month postage that the church will pay. Because again, for the Wash Pennington and the people who got the ministry started there at the Fellowship Baptist Church, it was their vision and burden to give everything away absolutely free of charge. Now, we're not against other tract printing ministries that may have to charge. I mean, ink, there's paper, there's a press, people have to take off work to do that. We understand that. But it's just been the vision and burden of this ministry not to charge a red cent. This is what attracted me to this ministry. It is a ministry of faith. Well, that's a hard word anymore, isn't it? Yeah. Living by faith. We're living by retirements and Social Security. By the way, someone told me who's on Social Security that they're getting a 2.8% increase. So if you don't know that and you're on Social Security, come next year you're getting a 2.8% increase. The only problem is inflation is going to be up over 2%. So you may only end up with a 4 or 5%. I don't know how that's going to work there, but it's just interesting how that goes. But listen, the Tract League is booming. I think of the 7 wonders of the world. I've always gone between, I can't think which is the greater wonder of the world, the Great Wall of China, which is about 1,500 miles long, I believe, or the pyramids and Sphinx of Egypt. I kind of go back and forth trying to think what's the greater of the two. But if you added up all the 7 wonders of the world, they pale in comparison to what the Fellowship Tract League has accomplished under the local church, Fellowship Baptist Church, pastored by Bill Burrows. It all pales. Yeah. This ministry is so large, it is the tip of the gospel spear that God is throwing into every township of every city, of every country, of every continent on planet Earth. Because the first contact that those missionaries have with the people they want to reach is when they hand them a Fellowship Tract League tract in one of the 90 major foreign languages of the world. It's amazing. I go to churches and people walk up and they say, Brother Lapish, it's not uncommon. We travel. We've been to Europe and South America, and they go on and on where they've been. And they say, we see your tracts everywhere we go. How can that be? Fellowship Baptist Church probably have 100 or less this morning in attendance. I tell that to some churches, and they say, well, wow, we thought that was a mega church. To do that many tracts, we thought they were running thousands of people. No. Not at all. Not at all. And I say that to help you too. If God can do that great of a ministry with that church, what can God do with your church right here in Hillsboro?
Yes. Amen.
What is keeping your church from doing some type of a monster ministry right here? You say, well, we don't want to print. My church never printed either. We supported the Tract League 29 out of 30 years I was there. We operated the Christian school, which is full-time, a big bus ministry, and we were very involved with Faith Promise Missions. That seemed to be our 3-pronged approach to the ministry God has given us. We didn't print anything. I didn't want to print. It looked like a messy, inky, blacky job there. I mean, so we didn't have anybody wanted to, so we supported the Tract League. So I'm not saying you have to print. I'm not saying you have to run a bus ministry, but what is it that God wants your church to do in this city? And the reason I was attracted to Fellowship Tract League, because it is a ministry of faith. I mean, everybody lives by faith at this ministry there. And it's good to stretch our faith as far as we can. Sometimes churches can't get done what God wants them to because Jesus says, oh, ye of little faith. I think sometimes churches handcuff the miracle-working hands of Christ.
Yes.
Because we think He can't do through us. That negativity there. Now, I talked about the roll paper. You know, I got to watch mine here. This used to be a roll paper. When it's all rolled off, it prints 125,000 tracts. Weighs 500 pounds to begin with. And when these 125,000 tracts, remember the roll paper costs how much did I say? $250. When these tracts get printed, they go to the Philippines or like Indonesia, that area, they did a study, at least 4 people will read every tract as it's handed out. So 4 times 125,000, who's the financial secretary of this church, or treasurer? I won't ask you, brother. 4 times 125,000 is 500,000 people are reached with the gospel from one roll of paper. Wouldn't you like that in your heavenly bank account? Yes. That you actually spend $250 of your own money and you have reached 500,000 people with the gospel. Yeah. Now, our church did a lot of street work. I mean, Columbus people live on top of each other. Every Wednesday night from 5 to 7, we have church-wide visitation. We come back at 7:30 for the church service. We average 70 adults and teenagers every Wednesday night for years going door to door. We talked to a lot of people. We knocked on a lot of doors, but I don't think we ever got to 500,000, and that was after 30 years of ministry. But with a roll of paper, one can reach 500,000. If you say, I want this roll of paper, the tracts go to northern India and Tibet, where we have sent sea containers, and because there's really nothing to read up there, they found, Pastor, 8 people will read each tract. So 8 times 125,000 is what? 1,000,000 people are reached from one roll of paper.
Yeah.
When's the last time anybody reached 1,000,000 people? Full disclosure, my wife and I, we buy a roll of paper every year. And our anniversary date's like September, so we just pray, and we're happy to write the check, and we send it in. And you said, well, if you got money, that's easy. We're Prince of Pennies too, folks. We know how that is. And remember I said we got to stretch our faith? Every time we send that, the Lord gives us that right back in some way or form. I mean, He just keeps giving it back. And we like to build our faith. We could buy 2, 3, 4 rolls of paper. Like every quarter, we'd like to increase our faith to that. So we're raising money. If you believe in bucket lists of things you have to do, and a lot of people kind of adopted that philosophy of things they want to do before the Lord takes them home, everybody here should buy a roll of paper. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, church there. On a Sunday, I was there morning and evening. They bought 17 rolls of paper, and the 17th roll of paper was from a lady who walked up, single mom, 2 kids in a Christian school, really stressed out financially. She said, Brother Lapish, I'd like to buy a roll of paper on your payment plan. I said, payment plan? I really don't understand that. I don't know if the track league has one. She says, how about $20 a month for a year? That's like $240. I says, that'll work. And she did it. If anybody wants to buy a roll of paper, really, they can do it. And before the Lord comes back, can I challenge everybody here today to buy a roll of paper somehow, some way. Whether it's 2 years at $10 a month, you can pay online there, you can send them a check. We buy a lot, and we have a lot in our heavenly bank account, I think, because of that. And the Lord blesses that. When we're done, we turn these into coin banks. I've left Pastor over 1,000 of these coin banks. And if each one could average about $50 a year, how much would that be coming into the track league every year? 1,000 times 50 bucks is what? $50,000. I was in one church in Columbus. They raised 570 pounds of change from 4 weeks of their Sunday school. And they broke the record from the previous year. They had 400 pounds of change. I was in a church in Maryland. They had never heard of the track league before in their life. They took 2 banks. They started Bible school the next day, because it was this past summer. In 1 week, they collected over $1,000. They had the boys go against the girls. Guess who won? How many think the boys won? You're wrong. So am I. The girls creamed the guys. Pastor, the women have the money in church. It's not we, the men. They've got a private stash. I'm convinced my wife's got a private stash somewhere. And I can't go through her stuff, right, ladies? Guys, never go through your wife's stuff. Never. You get your hands cut off that way. But everywhere I go, people have all kind of great ideas how to do this. And I was in a church in Tennessee last summer, and I just got an email from a man who went there. They ordered 125 coin banks for their church. 125. That's amazing. So the Lord has done a lot. He's helped me. I've been a blessing to the track league. Track league has been a blessing to us. We try to raise as much money as we can because we think our time is short before the Lord comes back. So if you're going to sit on your retirement and your 401ks and your IRAs and your Roths and your annuities and all your other insurance policies and all the cash you have in your bank accounts, and a lot of people have that. A lot of folks, you're not taking it with you. Jesus didn't come to be the starting shortstop of the church softball team. And we had a church softball team. We had a good one. Nor did he come to be the head grill master at the annual church Sunday school picnic. And we had Sunday school picnics. We liked that because we like food grilled out. No, he didn't come for that. Why did he come? To seek and to save that which is lost. And you see, if we can get our hearts to follow treasures that we're laying up in heaven, all of a sudden buying a roll of paper, that's peanuts. You say, well, how do I know people really get saved? Well, I guess you really won't in this life. But you'll meet them in heaven. You say, how in the world are we going to find each other in heaven? You know, that's a good question that I don't have an answer for. But I would say this, you will have all eternity to find each other. Right. Amen. So, will this church be a mission-minded church? When I was in Bible college, I was told that the missions is the heart of the local church. Missions, the heart. And I was also taught that missions is a strong right arm of the local church. And as a church invests itself in reaching the lost around the world, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost part, God smiles on that church, will help that church, will bless that church. Yes. Because it's a heart. The church has a heart like God had a heart as He sent Christ to us. We need to send missionaries to others. So, that brings me to my next thought. I am still raising my support. As a rep, the reps have to go out and raise their own support. You don't start with the $55,000 a year salary. Some people think that. No, not at all. We're on our own. Every trip I drive to, wherever it's at, whether it's Florida or Michigan or Tennessee or Pennsylvania, the whole bill's on me, and we live off the love offerings. I have 33 churches that support us, and we need 40 by the end of the year. So we ask every church we go into if you would at least pray about putting me on the road, keeping me on the road. I just sent 2 churches, one in South Tennessee and one in South Carolina. The 2 churches wanted me to come. It's just too far. It's just, you think about the cost. I mean, that's what, 3-4 day trip to get both churches in? And then the cost coming back, and so it's just too far, so I don't go. I mean, I've got to be, I have faith, obviously, but I also have to have some common sense, too. Right. So that's important. So pray about that. If you can add another missionary, add me. And every Monday morning, I contact the track league via email, and I tell them where I've been and how the services went. And I say that because I want you to know that I am accountable to the track league. Sometimes when I pastored, I didn't hear from missionaries. I didn't know what they were doing. I got a letter, but I wasn't quite sure. And I kind of scratching my head. Is this missionary just sitting there taking money, or are they busy? I am busy. And I am accountable to Pastor Burroughs at the Fellowship Baptist Church. I am accountable to Dr. Chuck Manus at the church in Columbus where I attend, High Street Baptist Church. So if you want to test that out, call the track league and say, hey, where was Brother Lapish 3 years ago on the 25th Sunday of that month? Now, it may take them a while to pull up that email, but they'll tell you where I've been. So I just want you to know I'm working hard for the Lord. And if you're going to invest in somebody, sometimes it's good to invest in somebody where you can actually see what they are doing and find out that they're staying busy for the Lord. Your investment in me would pay dividends to this church and to your life for eternity. So we leave these. I have 3 coin banks I brought in. Maybe a Sunday school teacher wants it. Maybe you want to take it home and start filling it up. Maybe the church wants to do every Sunday or every 4th Sunday, take up an offering for the track league like that. We'd love to have you take. If I can leave 3, I'll consider I'm a success. If there's like 10 people that want one, I have more in my trunk. I carry a lot with me. And to just fill them up. And I can tell you story after story after story. Last thing, every Tuesday, Lillian, what day? Tuesday. We have a work day, 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the track league. Now, what day? Tuesday. I'm helping you remember that. What day did Whippy tell Popeye he would pay him back? Tuesday. Somebody said that. So, if you forget, just ask somebody who's at least as old as your pastor. They would know. I think he's still, was it 93 or 39? Do I have the numbers backwards? I'm not quite sure there. And we would love to have you 9 to 12 every Tuesday. Help us put the tracks together in the boxes. Some of you have been there. You know what I'm talking about. I'd like to see the whole church come. Pastor, just pick a Tuesday out in 2019 and just go. And boy, I'll give you a tour of the new building they put up and what they're doing. And you will be amazed what Christ has accomplished through that ministry. And how many have been blessed because of that ministry. I think I want a part of that ministry if I were you. I had some tracks I wanted to highlight. I will just give this. I have a couple volunteers. Brother, you look strong. We're highlighting this track here. It says you are a Christian. There. And that one's called the ABCs of Salvation. In school, parents and grandparents are out. You see them with kids, give them that. They'll see the ABCs. They'll take that. Also, the other one, are you a Christian? A lot of people, they just have a hard time witnessing. They want to. They just can't get it started. So here's your chance. You take that and you just leave it. And then walk around the corner and watch. Someone will go over there and pick that up. And the minute they pick it up, there's the question to them. Are you a Christian? You've been a silent witness, but you've got the job out, the gospel being put out. So I have, anybody who wants 10 or 15, 20 of these, you can lay them on the back table when you're done there. I am highlighting them. We're doing our Christmas tracts. We'll send out millions of Christmas tracts for this month. That's always a good one. I'll pass 2 or 3 of these on track quarterlies out on this side. Pastor, if you don't get these, you can order. They'll send you a bundle. Just take one and pass it back, and that tells you what's happened in the last quarter, where the tracks have gone, and the great success that God has done through them. All right, I think that's all I have. Pastor, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you for your attention.
All right. Thank you.
Go Buckeyes.
Amen. I like your tie, the Buckeye tie.
It is, yes.
We're dismissed.
I was going to wear my Cleveland, but I knew